Okay, welcome everyone. Glad you guys are here and you guys online too. So tonight our class is on essential emotions and essential oils. And I have to say that this is by far my absolute favorite topic. I fell in love with oils immediately and could tell that they were great for physical support, but I didn't even give a thought to the emotional side of it. I was really skeptical. I was like, yeah, I'm sure, whatever. And then I had my own experiences and it changed me. It changed my life, literally. So I want to, I was just telling these guys a little bit earlier that I've taught this class lots of different ways because this is a topic I could go on and on about for hours, days. But I thought tonight I would just get a little bit real with you guys and just a little vulnerable and just share some personal experiences for me and my family and people that are close to me in my life and what we've done for essential oils and supporting our emotions. So first of all, I'll just tell you guys, when I was 21, I was diagnosed with bipolar. And okay.
Not 21, but me too.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was a rough patch in my life. And so I sought all the help I could get. I was open to help. I wasn't ashamed of it or anything. I grew up with a mom that had bipolar as well, so it wasn't a shock. But I just had to figure out a way to deal, right, to deal with life. And I lots of therapy, so had a psychologist, hi, come on in, and I chose to do medication for 10 years. And that worked for me. I felt like I found stability emotionally and psychologically, but in that time, I really felt like my life went from color to black and white. I felt like I could function and I wasn't worried, but I didn't have the lows, like the really depressed feeling, but I also didn't have the highs. And I felt like I couldn't feel. Like I felt like, and we tried all kinds of different things, but I just kind of felt like, I remember at one point having this moment in my life where I was playing this gorgeous, lush, beautiful piece on the piano. And I just couldn't connect with it. I couldn't feel. I didn't feel like I could cry. I didn't feel like I could laugh. And to me, it was not good. It felt awful. And so I was very open with my therapist about it. And I just said, hey, how do you feel about me trying to wean off this and just see what it's like to not be on medication? You know, because at the time that I was diagnosed, there were a lot of factors, you know, in my life. And, you know, I'm adulting here, you know, I could probably go off, you know, if you think that this is something that we could do. And we did that together. So I experienced medication free for about 3-4 years. And I felt like I found a good spot there, a sweet spot there. So then I discovered essential oils. So I knew what life was like with medication. I knew what life was like without medication. And then I had an experience of the added benefits of essential oils. And that to me was going from black and white to color to high definition in color and surround sound. like if you could describe it. Now that doesn't mean that I was out of the clear, because for any of us, for any of our emotional well-being and psychological well-being, whether or not you're diagnosed with whatever diagnosis, right? It's a daily process. Like we need to do things to support our bodies, right? And for me, it's a lifelong pursuit, and I am open to anything and everything that will help me. And I mean, I've been a self-help junkie since I was a teenager, before I knew I was bipolar. And so I eat up self-help books. I eat up anything that has to do with mindset, clearing out the junk. And so, so when I introduced essential oils into part of all those wonderful things that were helping me, I was still vulnerable, and I did have a low point about 2 years ago. And there was a point where I was a little bit scared for a little while, where I had a hard time getting out of bed. I was a little bit worried, and it went on for, I would say, a few months, but my concern part was a few weeks. And during that time, of course, I, you know, saw all the good things that were helping me, you know, spiritual things and just all the good things in my life. And I stopped for a moment and I realized there were some things that I was not doing that I needed to make some changes. One is I was not empty. I had some, I guess, some thought loops that were very toxic, and we're all susceptible to that. Every single one of us. I was not taking out the trash, so to speak. So I had some work to do. I really did. And then I realized a few other things, and that was that I fell out of habit of taking my lifelong vitality supplements. And I fell out of habit of using essential oils for my emotional well-being and support. I was using oils if I felt like I had, some respiratory stuff or immune stuff happening, no problem. But for emotional support, when you're in a funk and you're down, really, really, really down, you don't really care about fixing yourself. Does that make sense? You're the last, you feel awful and you don't want to do anything about it. And it doesn't make any logical sense, but that's when you're in it, that's how you feel, right? And so when I made sense of that and realized what was going on and the things that had happened there, I was like, oh, something is awesome. I realized I need to make some changes, and I went back on my farm vitality. And I did everything that I could that was good, right? But as soon as I got back on the wagon, it was like dramatic. It was dramatic. So I'm going to talk a lot about oils tonight, but this to me is absolutely critical, not just for physical support, but for emotional and psychological support, taking life on vitality. So that is I'm never going to go off of it again. And I'm going to be really, really consistent about that. So anyway, that's my personal experience. I have a lot of stuff that I want to share tonight, a lot of good stuff. I just picked the stuff that I think is I don't know, most relevant, hey, Melissa, to our lives. But I just wanted to share this with you because I really feel like we all have dark moments. We all have hard times. We all fall on hard times. And you probably know people who are struggling and suffering, and maybe they're suffering in silence and you don't even know. And I just want you to know, if you feel that personally, there's a way out. It can get better. It can absolutely get better. And I really feel like you can get a lot of support with oils as a support. Okay, so I want to start off by talking about, so you understand physical support. We've had a lot of classes on physical support for oils, so we're just going to cut right to the emotional stuff. So I want to just talk for a quick second about the olfactory system because it's so fascinating. It's the fastest working sense in the body. Hold on a second, I have a sheet that's missing. Whatever. Oh yeah, I know where it is. Hold on one second, you guys. And by the way, I'll post all these, okay, online so you'll have them. So the olfactory system is immediate. It's the fastest working sense in our body, and it's because it's directly connected to our brain, right? It's incredible how fast that olfactory system works. We have over 50 million sensory receptor cells in the olfactory system, which is absolutely fascinating. It's more complex than sight, than your vision. It's 10,000 times more perceptive than taste. Olfactory memories and associated feelings can be very strong, but that's not exactly how aromatherapy works. So we're just going to talk for a quick second about aromatherapy. Every drop of essential oil has over 30 trillion molecules. Incredible, right? They're really complex things, these crazy essential oils. And when the molecules are inhaled, they pass through the olfactory bulb and immediately interact with the limbic system in the brain. And that's why it's the fastest working sense, is because the moment that you're smelling, your sense of smell is in the brain. So it's absolutely immediate. I mean, when we feel something, our sense of touch, it takes a moment. That's why it's really easy to burn ourselves, right? It takes a moment for our brain to recognize that something is hot. But with smell, it's so fast. So, so we talked about that. The limbic system is what regulates our heart rate, respiration, blood pressure, and that limbic part of our brain is what we're talking about when we're talking about the olfactory system and essential oils and the aromatherapy part. So we're just going to talk about a few little parts of this. So the limbic system, we break it down into some different parts. We know that it's responsible for some of those primal emotions, like fear, anger, just those instincts, right? And it drives us to our basic needs, like to eat and for procreation and, you know, survival, you know, fight or flight. Okay. So that's definitely part of our limbic system. Now, at the heart of the limbic system is the amygdala. Okay. And the amygdala, we have a few different things happening in there. The smaller amygdala is associated with things like social anxiety, okay, or separation anxiety, obsessive compulsive behavior, you know, that kind of thing. The larger amygdala is responsible for creative thinking, okay, complex social networks, better judgment of faces, facial recognition, greater emotional intelligence, okay? So that's the larger amygdala. The amygdala is also responsible for memory imprinting. And the emotion actually determines what is imprinted into our memory, okay? So it decides what it wants to remember and what it wants to forget. So we can intentionally block out memories if they don't serve us. Your body can do that without you really thinking about it, right? Yeah. And let's see, what else did I want to tell you about that? Well, fear conditioning is an imprint that actually helps us, you know, for threat, protects us against threats. So that's another part of memory imprinting. It's only the sense of smell that can actually access and trigger the limbic brain. Now, isn't that interesting? Have you guys watched Simon Sinek? You guys watched TED Talks?
Yeah, I watched
okay, TED. You might have watched it and not realized it was Simon Sinek, but he talks about, I think it's the golden circle. He's the one that talks about, what's that?
You guys have talked about that.
Yeah, it's really good. Watch it. It's 13 minutes long, I think. Anyway, it's just really, really good. But he talks about the limbic brain. He talks about how people don't buy into what you're doing. It's about why you're doing it. Okay. So anyway, he talks about purpose. Yeah, and it's really good. It's such a good TED Talk. You gotta watch it. But he talks about the brain. Come on in. Yeah, have a seat. Okay. Yeah, wherever. But it's interesting how the left brain, the logical part of your brain, we can have lots of facts and data and why something is a really good decision. But you know what influences more than anything our decision is how we feel about it. Something can be completely logical and make complete perfect sense, but we make our decisions based on feeling and not logic, right? It's so incredible. So given that, and then given on top of that the only thing that can really interrupt that whole thing, that whole gut feeling, is aromatherapy, think about how powerful that is. So if we have thought patterns, I mean, you think about you're doing anything and all of a sudden you smell fire, you smell something burning, that's immediate, that's fast. So whatever, it doesn't matter how deep in conversation you are or whatever, your attention goes to that immediately. So it has the ability to interrupt. Think about what it can do for thought patterns. So I was talking earlier about how, gosh, it's easy for all of us to be susceptible to toxic thought patterns, right? How can we interrupt that? Aromatherapy can interrupt that, and you can create new thought patterns. It's fascinating, right? So there's just a lot to discover there. Okay, so physical consequences of our choices. I'm going to talk about this for just a quick second. So I wanted to talk about addictions and the cerebral cortex. So the cerebral cortex is it's often referred to as kind of like the Jiminy Cricket part of your brain. It's kind of too conscious, right? So addictions of all kinds cause visible shrinkage of that cerebral cortex, causing more animalistic regions of the brain to take over. Addictions of all kinds cause that same brain damage, but you can actually interrupt it, okay? So different oils can help with the various kinds of addictions. And that's why there's a whole entire class. You guys have probably seen the tear sheet on essential oils for addictions. A lot of people teach on this. You can find all kinds of stuff on YouTube, classes on YouTube, and in essential oils for addictions. But it's incredible how you can have this this whatever thought pattern, this addiction, whatever, and you can actually create new patterns so that you can actually recreate those patterns to repattern your brain. Trauma response is something that I was going to talk about also really quickly. All of your emotions are actually stored into your organs. So your body is actually a blueprint of pretty much what you've experienced in your life. Any physical ailment that you have has an emotional root, whether or not you recognize it. So how many times have you gotten sick and you realize there were some major stress factors happening beforehand? Or maybe, I mean, lots of lifestyle stuff too, right? I mean, I'm sure like not getting enough sleep obviously is an obvious one, or whatever, eating junk food or whatever. But the emotional part too. If you're feeling like, for me, every year before I was doing dōTERRA, I was a music director at a Catholic cathedral in San Francisco. And I was happy with my job. I had some wonderful people that I worked with. I had several choirs. I kind of had a retired choir, and I had a Chinese choir and a children's choir. Anyway, it was a lot of fun, but without fail, every Christmas and Easter, I get a cold sore. Every time. I was run down, tired, but then there was a lot of emotional stuff around it too. So you have to look at your patterns and recognize, okay, what's going on in my life that is triggering some of these physical things, but the physical things started with an emotional thing. They all started with an emotional thing. Are you guys familiar with Louise Hay? You Can Heal Your Life? Yeah, she just passed away this last year. So I love her book. It's really good. She actually talks about this very topic, about how every physical ailment, there's an emotional root. Fascinating. I'm gonna pass around, I wanna pass around a little cheat sheet. And again, you guys, I'll post this. I don't have enough. Well, actually, we can see how far they get. You guys could take a few of them. I've got like 4 or 5. Anyway, you can pass it around at least so that you can all see one. But this is kind of like a cheat sheet of her book. It's not everything, obviously, but it's a cheat sheet of the emotional root. This is so cool. This is really, I geek out over this. But recognizing the emotional root in your physical ailment. Okay. So, and they're kind of color-coded, so that's kind of cool. So here up at the top, we're going to cover, so if you look, the first column is your emotional root, your feeling. What are you feeling right now? Okay, so if you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, confused, oftentimes, not always, this isn't perfect, but it is science. Oftentimes, your physical response is going to be a cold, a respiratory issue. Okay? So then you've got your suggested essential oils to help support that. So you've got, you can see over here, if you're feeling overwhelmed, the oil to help address those feelings of overwhelmed, basil, aroma touch, past tense, digestin. And over here on the opposite side, the opposite column is the desired emotion, how you'd like to feel. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, you'd like to feel relaxed, right? If you're feeling stressed, you'd love to feel balanced. If you're feeling confused, you'd like to have clarity, right? So anyway, it just kind of goes through all of these. If your emotional root, say you're feeling like you're just over-analyzing, right? You just can't shut your brain off and you're feeling super negative, a little pessimistic. Oftentimes that transpires into flu-like symptoms or a stomach bug. Okay, so then here's some really great suggestions for those feelings. All right, so you've got wild orange, ylang-ylang, peppermint, ginger, and then from overanalyze, we want to have flow. We want to have flow in your life, right? And if you're feeling pessimistic, you want to feel positive or hopeful. Okay. So isn't that fascinating? Do you want me to keep going on this?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So I stick out over it. Okay. So then, so here's the next category. So if some of what you're feeling is repressed, fearful, grieving, anger, oftentimes that transpires into seasonal allergies. Okay? And the opposite, the desired emotions, so instead of repressed, we want to feel like we're progressing instead of feeling repressed, right? Instead of fearful, we want to have more belief. Okay, instead of grieving, we want to feel comfort. We want to feel comforted. Instead of angry, we probably want to feel forgiving or calming. Okay, and these are all the really great oils that kind of transpire with that. Repressed lavender, vetiver, black pepper. Black pepper is a fascinating oil. It's actually, the nickname of black pepper is the poor man's Melissa. Okay, so if you don't happen to have Melissa or run out, or can't afford I never run out of Melissa. I love Melissa. I know. Yeah. So black pepper is a great substitute. Just a little FYI if you run out. If you're feeling fearful, cassia, cinnamon, birch. Obviously, On Guard is going to cover some of that. Lavender, myrrh. To get those feelings of more belief, okay, stronger belief. If you're struggling with grief and you want to feel comfort, breathe. Breathe is a fascinating oil, and I absolutely love it for emotional support, and I use it for more often for emotional support than I do actual physical support. Okay, okay, so let's just move on. So then digestive issues, oftentimes the emotional root is you're feeling judged. If you're feeling judged, you're feeling anxious, you're avoiding, maybe you're having trouble communicating with, you have some unresolved emotions with somebody in your life, often that transpires into digestive issues. Have something going on with your gut because you can't quite get it out, right? There's some blockage there. So instead of feeling judged, you want to feel accepted. Instead of feeling anxious, you want to feel peaceful. Instead of feeling like you're avoiding stuff, you want to feel like you have more courage, more courageous, right? So a lot of those are digestive oils. All right. So if you're avoiding, oftentimes fennel is a really good one. Digestin, Zengest, clary calm. If you're feeling a little anxious, basil, breathe, past tense, peppermint. Feeling judged, lavender, cinnamon, lime. All of those are really fascinating. Great, great oils. Okay. All right, sleep issues. Anybody struggle with sleep? Yes. I am right now. My baby keeps waking me up. Sometimes this is really interesting. Think about it. So sleep issues, oftentimes the emotional root is fear or perfectionism. Sometimes when I'm having trouble, not because my baby's waking me up, but I'm just awake. Sometimes I just can't shut my brain off. And why is that brain going? Why? What's going on? You know, and a lot of times that it can be fear, it can be perfectionist issues, right? So instead of being fearful, we want to feel trusting. Instead of feeling like struggling with that perfectionism, you want to feel relaxed or maybe more accepting. Okay, so so a lot of the oils that can help transition into those desired emotions: cassia, cinnamon, birch, cypress, lavender, myrrh, bergamot, lemon, peppermint, clear skin, the HD clear, serenity, and Roman chamomile. Yeah. So isn't it interesting that a lot of these oils we think to use for emotions, right? We think of using like HD clear. I use that if I have a blemish, you know, or whatever, right? But actually there's emotional clearing that you can get from all of these oils.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
I'm brand new to oils.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we're looking at the list of these, where you say for sleep issues, you say cassia, cinnamon, birch, et cetera, are you talking about trying those individually, trying them together?
Individually.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. This is just a list to choose from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So if one doesn't seem to work for you, then move on to the next.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And I think we're really talking about this more in the context of the emotional feeling that you're feeling more than anything. If we're just talking about physical, then a lot of these overlap and they're similar. They're going to be for the same thing, but you might prefer a serenity blend that has lavender in it, you know, or a vetiver. You know what I'm saying? Like there's lots of different choices. Not to confuse you. Yeah. Yeah. So there's just so many choices. I think it's not a right or wrong. It's like good, better, best. Like what speaks to you for all of the choices that you could use for sleep. Yeah. Yeah.
I think you made a good point though, Amy, that sometimes you can find a blend that has a lot of it in it. And it's nice to try a blend rather than a single.
Absolutely. Yeah. There are so many great blends. Yeah. Yeah. This is a good one. I've had headaches recently. I can relate to this. So the emotional root of headaches, self-critical, conflicted, okay? And that can often transpire into a physical manifestation of a headache or tension, okay? And the desired emotion, it would be self-accepting, and instead of feeling conflicted, clarity, okay? So some good oils as options here: Slim and Sassy or Smart and Sassy. You're ordering from Canada. Bergamot, past tense. I love past tense. I use it every day, actually. I do, and I use it because I've got some tension, but also for the emotional side too. Vetiver is a beautiful oil if you're feeling conflicted. Deep Blue, Digescent or Zengest, and Peppermint. Okay, and that can help transition you from feeling conflicted over to clarity. All right, next page. Enough of you have these so you can kind of see. Okay, so this next category, so this is back discomfort, back pain. Okay, now we're going to start with the emotional root. Oftentimes it's scarcity, and that can be connected with a very similar emotion of fear, but scarcity mentality, right? You just don't think you have enough or you've got what you need or whatever, right? So that's scarcity. Stubbornness or unsupported. So lower back is going to be scarcity. Stubbornness is typically middle back, and if you're feeling unsupported, it's typically up here, upper back pain. Okay, and this is what, hey, how's it going? Go on in. Yeah, so I struggle with, I'll just be transparent here, lots of upper. I feel lots of supported. And of course I'm lugging a really big 2-year-old around too. But the desired emotion, instead of feeling scarcity, we want to feel abundance in our life, right? We want to manifest that abundance. Instead of feeling stubborn, you want to have more flexibility emotionally. Instead of feeling unsupported, we want to feel supported. So a lot of these oils are going to be, again, crossover. So you could probably use any and all. So, but these are just suggestions. You've got Deep Blue, Cassia, Cinnamon, Birch is amazing. Cypress, Lavender, Myrrh. And then middle back, Aroma Touch, Bergamot, Lemon, Citrus Bliss, Peppermint, and interestingly enough, again, that clear skin, the HD Clear, okay? And then upper back, Birch. I'm pulling out my Birch tonight. I've been using past tense a lot lately. I'm gonna mix it up. I'm going for the Birch. I'm gonna break it open. I only have. They don't sell Birch. You can get it like in your convention kit or like limited times throughout the year, and I hoard it. I've got a few bottles, and Thomas loves it. So I'm like, I don't ever give that one away. Sorry, guys. So yeah, I'm gonna try that tonight. So Birch, Bergamot, and Reed. That's a favorite of my mom's too, by the way. She, a lot of people with MS kind of struggle with some joint discomfort and things, and the emotional issues as well. You know, the emotional issue of feeling unsupported, and you know, there's a lot of scarcity. You know, when your health is a little bit out of your control with an autoimmune disease, it can be really easy to feel that emotionally, to feel like you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, her father passed away from it. So it's easy for scarcity mentality to come in. So it can help shift you, that Birch can help shift you into that abundance. So it's a really beautiful oil that way.
Amy, I have a question. One of the girls online just wants to know, when you're talking about all these and you're talking about like the pain in the back, then do you use that oil topically?
Yeah.
Is that the best way to use those?
I would. Yeah. Yeah. For discomfort. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But you know, because if you think about it, you're getting the aromatic benefits as well.
Right.
So if you're putting it on topically, you're actually smelling it too. So you're getting both. Yeah. Yeah. But for a lot of these, like if we're, I mean, you could do either or. Yeah. Okay, so then for the next set of emotions, we're looking at self-critical, angry, and hopeless. And the physical response here typically can transpire into mood issues. Okay, so if you're feeling a little bit moody, anxiety, and even depression. So this is a really interesting category right here, since we're already talking about emotions. This is kind of like, so if you're feeling self-critical, what can really help shift you? Elevation, basal, breathe, and past tense. Breathe, I use breathe probably every day. Yeah, and it's for emotional support. I rarely have anything respiratory going on. For real. True story. But that can help shift you from self-critical to self-acceptance, right? We all need it to probably, we could all use a little more self-acceptance, right? We're so hard on ourselves.
Yeah, so how do you use the breathe then to help you with those?
Yeah, so I love to just put it on my hands and smell it. Sometimes I'll put it over my sinuses, even though it's not for typical, actually respiratory support, but just so I can just get it right there in my face. Sometimes I rub it on my chest, and then I love to diffuse it. Yeah. Yeah. You can put it on the bottoms of your feet too, but I really want to be smelling it. Like if it's just right in my face, I feel like I can actually breathe again. Like I feel like sometimes I get keyed up, and I literally am not getting enough oxygen. I know I'm not. You know? Yes, totally. Absolutely. Okay, so then shifting from anger, how often do we feel anger and resentment? Nobody's helping me. Right? I have to do this all myself. Whatever. I don't know. Whatever it is. Having a pity party. No. Which I do. I'm guilty. So if you're feeling angry, time, serenity, geranium. I just posted a really beautiful video this week with Emily Wright and the new geranium. Did you see that? They're sourcing it from Africa, and the story is just like, so I seriously teared up. I was watching this video, and I'm like, what they're doing is they're giving loans to these farmers, mostly women, and happy International Women's Day, by the way. They're giving these women loans, okay? They're giving them all the seeds, they're giving them the land to plant, and then all of their earnings, they decide how much they want to take home that they need for their families, and the rest goes into a savings account for them. At the end of 3 years, they have enough money to own their own land. Wow. I started bawling. I did. I was like, right? Wow. Yeah. dōTERRA doesn't care to own their own land. They want to help these communities where these plants come from. So anyway, this was just so touching to me. Geranium actually, it heals the heart. Geranium is the poor man's rose. So we're talking about how black pepper is the poor man's Melissa. Geranium is the poor man's rose. And in terms of it's really great for heart support, like physical heart support, but it's actually also really good for healing the heart. I have a really good friend who just got in a bad place in life, and she just discovered that her daughters had been abused by their father and ended their marriage, and one of her daughters was having a really hard time, like having panic attacks and like waking up in the middle of the night, couldn't sleep, and incontinent, and geranium shifted it. She started sleeping. She started it literally like healed her heart emotionally. So geranium, I've watched geranium change people like in major ways. But it's great for healthy heart too, like physical healthy heart. So geranium, beautiful oil. My husband loves geranium, and I used to tease him when he first started using it. I was like, you smell like an old lady. What's your deal? But then I just noticed how it shifted him emotionally and physically after, just from applying that. So my favorite place to apply geranium, I mean, you can diffuse it, but my favorite place is the heart because it's the heart oil. So that's my favorite use for geranium. So sorry, so that was all about anger. Anger. And shifting to peace. So time, serenity, geranium, ylang ylang. Another great flower, clear skin. Who would have thought? HD clear, and whisper. Whisper is a really good one. And then if you're feeling hopeless and you want to feel more hopeful, Melissa. I look at Melissa every time. Clary Sage and Immortelle. Immortelle. Okay, and here's another category. Ooh, weight issues. How many of us struggle with weight issues? Okay, so the emotional root, insecure, vulnerable, self-conscious, unfulfilled, suppressed. How many of us have ever felt that way? I know I have. And we want to shift from those feelings, great, from feeling insecure to feeling secure. We want to go from feeling vulnerable to feeling confident, okay? From feeling self-conscious to self-accepting. From feeling unfulfilled to fulfillment, from suppressed to authentic, okay? Beautiful shifts in there. And a lot of these oils, again, overlap. Cassia, which is very close, obviously, in chemistry to cinnamon. Bergamot, Clary Calm, Terra Shield, On Guard. Terra Shield is an interesting one. It's really, if you have any toxic relationships in your life or where you feel like you have unclear boundaries, Terra Shield, it's the repellent.
Terra Shield and Melaleuca together are incredible, just right across your chest here.
Yes.
If you're going to be in a situation or around people that is where your boundaries are lacking, just put the two of them on, layer them. Oh, wow, you can feel the lightning instantaneously. It's incredible.
Absolutely. This is our Reiki girl over here. She knows what she's talking about, and it's true. It's interesting how it's the bug repellent blend, right? It repels.
It repels negative energy.
It repels negative energy.
So does Melaleuca.
Yeah. Well, and it's in the blend, but you could give it a little extra. Yeah. And On Guard does that as well. On Guard actually is the protective blend for seasonal threats, but it's also emotionally protective as well. So it can really help with those physical boundaries. Or emotional boundaries. So, and interesting, again, that Cassie is in there. Terra Shield, On Guard. Oh, On Guard. Yeah, see? Okay, vulnerable to feeling confident. Patchouli. Patchouli is one of my favorite oils. I'm going to talk about that in a second because I'm passing all these around, by the way. Hopefully, we won't go too long. Patchouli, grapefruit, slim and sassy, Roman chamomile, cassia, black pepper. All of these are so great for moving from those weight issues to feeling that those desired results of desired emotions. Okay, last,
I have a question. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
If you're, I want to work backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
What if you're drawn to certain oils and like I'm looking at this chart and I go, wow, I'm really drawn to these right now, and then I look at the emotional root and I think, like that just seems really weird to me. That's going on, right?
Right.
Literally, I'm like, oh, what do I want? I'm like, oh, I think I'll just do some slim and sassy.
Yeah.
Right? I don't even know why. Because I'm like, anyway. And then which makes me feel better. And I'm not clear why. And so that's backwards to this, but
actually it's not backwards. This is just how we're going about it right now to talk and share. Let me get to that in just a second with this book. Okay. So, last thing, fatigue, energy issues, okay? Your adrenals, right? How many have adrenal fatigue? I do. If you're feeling apathetic or indifferent or resistant or just feeling stuck, how often do we feel stuck? I hear that a lot, feeling stuck. Okay, so we want to shift into feeling from apathetic, we want to feel more passionate. From indifferent, we want to feel more enthusiasm. From resistance, we want to feel more receptive or more open, right? And from stuck, we want to feel like we're progressing. Okay, so here's some oils. Lemongrass, vetiver, lime, Alyssa again, breathe, vetiver. We already said vetiver, deep blue, digest and zengest, cypress, lemongrass, thyme, DDR, prime, birch, and fennel. Amazing. So much in here. So this is a really awesome little cheat sheet, but here's what I really love. I'm going to share with you my favorite stuff. I really like, okay, a couple things. This little wheel, this side has the positive emotions and properties, and this side has negative. So what you could do is if you are, whatever, you're drawn to whatever oil, it's grapefruit. let's say it's grapefruit, then you could potentially, this, I'm not saying this is what you're feeling, but you could potentially be feeling body judgment and insecurity. All right. Now, flip it over to the opposite. We want to feel secure. So then, actually, no, don't flip it over. That's the oil that you would use, right? If you're feeling that, because that'll help you shift. So you can look at it from the positive side, or the negative side, and you can look at it from the oil on the outside or from the emotion on the inside. And each of these has a little category. Like all of these little emotions can kind of go into a category. So if you're feeling disinterested, lethargic, disconnected, unmotivated, apathetic, irresponsive, you're probably feeling a little bit numb, right? And any of those oils in that category could probably help, right? And even more than that, this is just a good place to start.
Yes, where do you get that?
Yeah, it's on Aroma Tools, and I think, yeah, you can order it here, you can order it in the States. I have a couple extra. We'll raffle one off tonight. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. So this is a really great tool. I really like this. You can even just print it off online. I mean, you can, yeah, you can find it if you just want to print it. You don't have to actually have the laminated wheel or whatever. And then this right here, I love this book. This book is just amazing. I have like every other version from years past. I think I have like 5 or 6 different editions. But this is the one that's the most recent one. And I love it. It goes through each oil. Do you want to just shout out an oil?
Vetiver.
Vetiver? Okay. What's that? So this is actually a combination of authors, and one of them is Dana McDonald. And then, and actually you guys have this sheet. Do you guys have this sheet?
Yeah.
See this? Okay, this is the cheat sheet to this. I just finished this tonight. I added all the new oils, and there might be typos, so I'm sorry if there are. But this is a cheat sheet to what this says. So so what you do is you pick an oil or blend, okay, and then you go and look at the blend and or oil, and each one has a nickname, okay, and then it'll tell you a little bit about it. Okay, so vetiver. Vetiver is the oil of centering and descent, okay? Vetiver oil assists in becoming more rooted in life. And interestingly enough, it's a root oil. It comes from Haiti. They dig it up out of the ground, this big tangled mess of roots, and that's what they extract the oil from. They distill the oil from. Life can scatter one's energy and make individuals feel split between different priorities, people, and activities. Vetiver brings the individual back down to earth. So it's a grounding oil. A lot of the root oils are grounding. I mean, it's obvious. Like, doesn't it seem so obvious? Like you look at it, at roots and trees, and they feel grounding when you're in the presence of trees. I'm a tree hugger. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. I love trees. Tree oils are my favorite. I love tree oils, and actually, that's our topic next month. Kelly Fraser is teaching on tree oils, so that's gonna be fun. But it's interesting how a lot of these oils, what they do for the plant is what they can do for us, and you can see how there's a physical and emotional correlation in there. It's so fascinating, right? So vetiver is this gnarly root that they dig up, okay? So vetiver brings the individual back down to earth. It assists them in grounding in the physical world. Vetiver also assists individuals in deeply connecting with what they think and feel. And this way, vetiver is incredibly supportive in all kinds of self-awareness work. It helps uncover the root of an emotional issue. Interesting, right? Very interesting. It's a revealing oil. Okay, vetiver challenges the need to escape pain. It centers individuals in their true self and guides them down to the root of their emotional issues. It helps them find relief, but not through avoidance. So it's through facing it, right? Relief comes after they have traveled within and met the core of their emotional issue. Vetiver will not let them quit. It grounds them in the present moment and carries them through an emotional catharsis. The descent into the true self assists individuals in discovering deeper facets of their being. Vetiver opens the doors to light and recovery through this downward journey. So then the negative emotions, so that's its little message, right? And then it'll say the negative emotions addressed: apathetic, disconnected, scattered, stressed, ungrounded, avoiding, and in crisis. Okay? Positive properties: centered, grounded, present, emotionally aware, connected. And isn't that what you think of when you think of a root, right? All of those things?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So cool, right? Some companion oils. So again, you don't have to ever just choose one. There's so many to choose from. So great companion oils. These could be blended or as other options, right? Helichrysum comes from a flower, juniper berry, and the grounding blend, which is balance. Okay. Suggested uses: aromatic, inhale from the bottle, diffuse, place drops in the hand, rub, inhale, apply 1 to 3 drops to the bottoms of the feet or the base of the spine. So you see how that works? Isn't that cool? I love this book. I refer to it all the time. I really, really love it. So anyway, I just feel like it gives us clarity if we're feeling stuck, if we're feeling whatever we're feeling. I think this can really, really help a lot.
Amy?
Okay.
That book's on Amazon.ca right now, the Kindle version for $10.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
So if anyone's interested, you can get it on your Kindle or your tablet or whatever.
Nice.
$10.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm going to share these books with you, but I think what I'm going to do is we're going to just kind of quickly blow through some of these and why. I mean, we've touched on a lot of them already. We're going to blow through a lot of these and why I really like them. First of all, these four. Have you guys heard of the mood matrix? No? Okay. So this, before the emotional aromatherapy line came out, this was our emotional aromatherapy line. So this is what doTERRA's first emotional aromatherapy oils. Balance, serenity, citrus bliss, and elevation. Now these four, they called the mood matrix because they could really help with grounding, calming, uplifting, and just address pretty much everything in just these 4 little blends. They're amazing. And I still use them all the time, and I love them, even though they've been around a lot longer than these. So this is what personal story here. So my mom I explained it earlier, she has bipolar. With her MS, she cannot take her psychiatric drugs because of the drugs that she has to take for MS. Yeah. So this is what she does. It's these 4 blends together. So she does equal parts of balance, serenity, citrus bliss, and elevation, and then she tops it off with fractionated coconut oil. Okay. So yeah, absolutely. And actually, it smells really good. Actually, I do. I just can't stop. Okay. So I did in this 10 ml, 25 drops of each, so that's 100. And that took it about just a little over halfway in the 10 ml, and then I topped off the rest with fractionated coconut oil. But you can totally do what you want. I mean, you can apply neat. You totally can. But I like fractionated coconut oil, and there's nothing wrong with adding a little bit of, it's so dry here. So we'll just pass this around. You can smell it. In case you've never smelled it before. I mean, the first time I smelled it, I was like, well, that's interesting. But I really like it. You guys have all smelled Balance, Serenity. I'm just going to pass them around real quick. Balance blend. What do you guys love Balance for? Everything. Restless leg. Sorry, we're not being compliant.
Neck tension.
Neck tension.
Yeah. I use it on the back of my neck every day.
Mm-hmm. I have a friend who had some health issues and had to do regular blood draws, and her veins would collapse every time they tried to draw. So she'd have to go back and forth, just to fill one silly vial of blood every single time. So she put Balance on her arm and no collapse, like ever since. So what it does physically is it helps to oxygenate the blood. So if you have any phlebotomist, right? Phlebotomist friends, that might be a fun little tip for you. So, yeah. I use it on my little guy for bum rash. It works really great with a coconut oil or some sort of nice hydrating skin soothing for the skin for rash, and that's really great. A lot of people like it for training, for performance athletes and training, because it's very physically grounding. And then, of course, people who are performing artists, like my husband, like to use it for performance anxiety. So a great blend, wonderful blend. Serenity. Its nickname is the calming blend. And a lot of people like this one for sleep. So if you are doing a lot of traveling, I'm just getting ready to do a lot of traveling in the next few weeks, going to Florida, going to Seattle, might be going to California, then I'm going to Nepal. So excited. So you can bet I'm going to be bringing my Serenity. But so it can really help with sleep, promoting more restful sleep, but also it's really great for calming. So if you guys are feeling a little keyed up, this is a wonderful oil to help kind of bring things down. I like to use it for my son who has ADHD. So sometimes just kind of getting him to calm down at night. Beautiful oil to diffuse in his room. So great, great blend. And then this is Citrus Bliss. Citrus Bliss is the invigorating blend. Great pick-me-up. So if you're feeling some of those emotions that we were describing earlier, a little bit, whatever, lethargic, just checked out, it's a great pick-me-up for anybody. You need some more sunshine in your life. Elevation does that as well, but just in a different way. It has the high notes, but also some low notes as well. So it has a little bit of the elevating and the grounding together. So it makes for a really interesting blend.
You need both to probably deal with anxiety or depression and stuff. You have to have the up and the down.
Yeah.
You need the balance. Because otherwise, if it's just up, you float off somewhere, and if it's just grounded, you get mired in your thoughts.
True.
You've got to have both.
True. I agree. Yeah, I really like that one. So those are my 4 favorites for on a regular basis. I'm not going to pass these around, but I absolutely love every single one of these. Passion, motivate, cheer, forgive, peace, and console. Beautiful oils. Yeah.
So I have a question. So being brand new to oils,
Yes.
and wanting something to help supplement my current medication with some things that are going on in my body.
Yes.
Do you think it would be a good thing to start with those 4 blends and work those in?
It's totally a matter of
I love that smell.
Preference.
That smell that you just
give it a try.
went by.
Yeah.
4 all mixed together was
Yeah.
wonderful. To me,
Yeah.
that was like
They're beautiful
bliss.
oils. I love them. Yeah, give it a try. Yeah, it's really about personal preference because you're going to have positive effects from any and all of them. Is my
It's kind of
opinion.
overwhelming to know where to start, right?
Right,
You
right.
see this piece of paper with
Yeah.
all these things that are supposed to help.
I know.
You know, where do you start?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I love these 4.
to hear the blend.
I would start with these 4. Yeah, for sure.
And how many of these are in the kit? The emotions kit?
These none of these are in the emotions
No,
kit.
not
These,
the emotions
yeah,
kit,
these are
sorry.
the emotions kit. All 6
How
of
many of
these.
these are in? How many of these ones are in the
Aroma touch kit.
Aroma touch kit? No, not
Balance and serenity, I think, are in the aroma touch.
Just
kit.
balance.
Just balance.
They're not in a kit. I mean, there's some of them are in random kits, but
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Just random.
They're in the everything.
Yeah, they're never gonna get, yeah, or the night kit. I'm gonna pass around Breathe because I really firmly believe in this as a supportive blend. So I've kind of had a crazy week.
Or easier.
So yeah, I found out my grandfather passed away, and this was a week ago Sunday, and it was kind of crazy. He was on vacation in Florida with my grandma, my 90-year-old grandma, and he had a massive stroke and heart attack and went really quickly. And anyway, we're sad, but he's also lived a really long life. And when we go to his memorial, we'll be celebrating his life. You know, we're sad that it was cut short, but also glad that he wasn't, you know, struggling with the after effects of a massive stroke. So, but I'll tell you, a lot of the oils that I've been using for this last week have been Breathe, just to kind of shift things. Anytime I feel like I'm just literally not breathing, that's how I personally struggle when it comes to emotional stuff. I feel like I'm literally not breathing. And this, I feel like shifts me really, really quickly. So Breathe is a really important blend for all of us to use. And then I'm just gonna pull these 2 because I feel like I love all of these, but I've been using these the most lately.
Yeah, so
I know a lot of people who struggle, like they're going through some grief and they're really having a hard time. Console is something you really want to share with somebody. I've given this to more friends and family members who have lost loved ones. And it's a beautiful gift to give someone, is console. This really helps a heavy heart.
I just find that one such a comfort, like you just smell it. And it's just,
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my favorite.
Totally. I go to that one a lot. Another one that I think you might like is peace. So if you feel like you're just having a hard time shutting off your brain and you might be struggling also with grief, but just feeling it in a different way, I feel like peace is a really good one. And this is a lovely one too. I tend to go more with console, but peace is also really nice. And then this is so important, especially if you're not aware. I was going to say, even if you're not aware, especially if you're not aware. Forgive. We can all use more forgive in our lives. I feel like a lot of the physical ailments that we have in our life have a root cause of not letting go of something. And whatever it was in our life, doesn't matter who's done what to us or what experiences we've had, we experience something and we build a story around it. Something happens to us and we create a story. And and a lot of times we stick to that story. And the thing is that if that story doesn't serve, if it's not a good story, it can actually bring you down and it can cause illness. It can. And so I really feel like forgive is such an important oil, just to release and forgive and move on. It doesn't matter how bad it was. I mean, you can read books about people who are in Auschwitz, who are able to actually find peace and happiness living in Auschwitz. How is that even possible, right? So I really feel like we are in the driver's seat. We decide what story we want to create or what story we want to listen to or what story we want to hang on to. But just know this, if you find yourself ever stuck, you can change your story. You do not have to stay married to that story. Even if you got this story and you inherited it from your parents and your grandparents and whoever, you can change your story. You can re-pattern those thoughts and those habits and those physical things. So this is kind of interesting. I just had my DNA done over Christmas because my husband and I were like, we just decided that we're going to give each other. I'm really fascinated by family history and genealogy. So we had our DNA done, and I called up my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm a black girl. And she's like, what? I don't have that in my DNA. I'm like, we had different tests on them. Don't know too. I am her daughter. She knows something. But anyway, it was just, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I just thought it was really funny because I'm looking at my, I mean, I'm like 99% like European white. Yeah. I'm like at least 30-40% French and German, and then all the rest probably like English. Yeah, English, yeah, whatever. Yeah. But it's interesting how, we grew up with our family, and we have a lot of, whatever, physical traits that are similar, whatever, and even emotional traits that are similar. But really what it comes down to is whatever, especially the emotional stuff, because we're talking about emotional, you might feel like you've been through something with your parents and you feel like you might feel stuck. Like, this is what my parents did, this is what their parents did. And we feel like, whatever this pattern is, you can break free of that pattern. You can break free of whatever pattern it is absolutely true. You are not married to that. And even physical stuff, they said, I thought it was really interesting in the fine print. They said, I chose to do the expensive one. Like, I wanted to know my actual ancestry, but I also wanted to do the genetic stuff too. And it's just like, yeah, I want to know if I have a chance of getting Alzheimer's or whatever it is, which was cool. It was 0 for a lot of the stuff that I was like, oh, that's interesting. They even said, though, even if you have, whether or not you actually have the marker, there's still environmental patterns that impact just as much. They explain that like in the fine print with a little asterisk. And I really believe that whether or not, even if you don't have a pattern for something, you could create a pattern for something if you don't clear the gunk. So take out the trash. Take out the trash.
And even sleep. Like you can harm your brain by not getting enough sleep. And cause dementia.
Oh, you can start seeing stuff without enough sleep. It's true.
Everyone knows.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Yep, it's true. Okay, so I just chose 3 more. Frankincense is a beautiful oil for everything we know, but also for the physical stuff. for emotional stuff. Sorry. And I've seen frankincense just heal hearts as well. Read the story in the book. I'm not going to pull it out right now, but it's a beautiful oil. It's a spiritual oil. So it can really help shift things and really help heal. Patchouli is actually my favorite for emotional support. Love all of these, but I actually use patchouli probably every day. I'm a little hippie at heart. I know some people either love it or hate it. So if you hate it, I'm sorry. But the very first dōTERRA class I ever attended was with Dr. Hill, and was so lucky. I was in this little like conference room in a hotel by the San Francisco airport, and he came and he talked about lifelong vitality. And it was a fascinating class. I absolutely loved it. But he also talked about a few oils that he believed everyone could benefit from every day. And one of those was patchouli. And I remember him telling us that it has the highest number of sesquiterpenes of any other oil. And what that means is, he basically said it means it's your happy pill. He's like, if you struggle, patchouli is your oil. Patchouli is your oil. It's your happy pill. It has over, I think, 24 sesquiterpenes, and it's one of those that can cross the blood-brain barrier, which not all oils can, but that is one. You know, like your frankincense, your sandalwood, and your vetiver, and those. And so I feel the effects of patchouli. If I'm feeling keyed up, I'll take a bath in Epsom salts with patchouli. Maybe throw in some others too, but patchouli is definitely going to be in it. So I love patchouli. And the last one I want to talk about is copaiba. Yes. Copaiba, or whatever, however you say it. So I feel like copaiba, I actually take this a drop under my tongue every day. And I feel emotional support from copaiba in a very strong way. I absolutely love copaiba. It's good for physical discomfort. Obviously, we've talked about that a lot in a lot of our recent classes. But for emotional support, copaiba is one that you really want to have handy and use on a regular basis. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so anyway, I think that's about it for oils. I'm just going to ask you guys online, do you have any quick questions before I go on to, yes, I'm going to give you a copy of the handouts. Oh, what is the book called? Emotions and Essential Oils. This is what it looks like. Okay, and it has 4 different authors in it. Oh, here it is. Those are the authors. You can read about it online, but it's on Amazon. So yeah. And then okay, yeah, okay, awesome. Okay, and then I just want to really quickly give you a few other little tips, things that I like. One is there's an app that I like. I want to show this to you. I mean, I love lots of apps, but the one that I like is called Essential Emotions. And it's green and has like a yellow drop with a heart in it. Essential Emotions. And it's a lot like, here, can you guys see in there? It's the one that's like that one right there. Essential Emotions. And it works a lot like the wheel, or a lot like this wheel, or kind of like the book, but it doesn't have the full story of it. Yeah, that's it. Yes. Yeah, I love it. You can like get up in the morning and like enter how you're feeling, and then it'll spew out what oils it would suggest to support. Yeah. So it's amazing. I love it. I refer to it all the time. It's a good one. And then my favorite books besides the Emotions and Essential Oils, I love anything Louise Hay. Like you can hear yourself, you can feel your life, whatever. I don't know where mine is because I think I loaned it to somebody and I never write stuff down, so I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in the universe. And then these are a few others. I have gobs of books. It's ridiculous, but Healing Your Family History. Healing Your Family History. If you feel like you've got some baggage and you're a little bit stuck, you don't have to own that story. You can shift. We have an interesting story on my dad's side. My grandmother was adopted, and she was actually, so it was her sister, her mom's, her biological mom's sister's husband impregnated her when she was 13. That was her backstory. So there's a lot of interesting stuff behind that, and we've kind of gotten to the bottom of a lot of interesting family history stuff, and we're starting to get to know that family, our biological family. We've connected with them, and it's really cool. Like, we're doing a lot of healing right now. And a lot of them are like, we never knew this about our grandfather or whoever it was. Like, he was a really good man. We're like, maybe he was, like, after that. Yeah, maybe he redeemed himself. I don't know. But it's just interesting, like, putting two and two together, and then that feeling as well. So I feel like it's brought everybody together. It's been really interesting. So healing your family history. Okay, and then living healthy and happily ever after. It's got physical stuff, but also some emotional stuff too. There's one that's called this. So this is Dr. Rebecca Hinsey and Susan Lawton, and they did another book. I think it's called Essentially Happy. You guys have heard that? Yeah, I have it. I loaned that one out too. I don't know where it is. It's good. And then, of course, Chakra Wellness. That's really good. There's a lot of really great books on tapping, and you can actually do tapping online. Find free stuff all the time. There's lots of videos.
There's a really good one, Faster EFT by Robert Gene, G-E-N-E.
G-E-N-E. Robert Gene, G-E-N-E.
Faster EFT.
Faster EFT. Okay. One of my favorites is Stin Hansen. She's mythoughtcoach.com, and she has a lot of free downloads. You used to have to subscribe to her, but it's free now. And she has stuff on there she has guided meditations, and she does EFT, and she does affirmations every day. Like, if you need just a little affirmation, like on abundance or whatever it is, she'll have like a little 5-minute thing, affirmation that you listen to. And it's just perfect. It's awesome. I love to listen to them while I'm working out. I just feel like it just gives me a boost every day. And I do stuff like this every day. Every day I do something for my spiritual self and then stuff for my mental self. To stay in that sweet spot where I feel like I'm healthy. So what's that?
What was your name?
Stin Hansen, S-T-I-N Hansen, mythoughtcoach.com. Yeah, she's really great. And my really good friend Tanya McGibbon introduced me to her, and I just love her. This is another really good one, Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. So if you're kind of skeptical about what, there's like an emotional root to the physical stuff, read this book, and then you'll get it. It's really good. This is the emotion code. There's a lot of stuff on that similar stuff. This is just one that's really good. And then I just got to see Gabby Bernstein. I was actually just there in January, and I got to meet her in person. She has The Universe Has Got Your Back. She does a lot of really great books, but this is her most recent one. And I haven't read the whole thing, but I've read parts of it, and I really like it. It's called Judgment Detox. And I think this is, sorry, I'm kind of focusing on women, International Women's Day. I think a lot of us, but women and men, I think we just struggle with a lot of self-sabotage and a lot of negative thoughts and a lot of just judgment, self-judgment, right? Like, not good enough. It's really easy to compare ourselves. Anyway, this I feel like is really good. And there's a lot of really great tapping exercises and stuff in here that are really good. So I'm just trying to think. I think that's all I have. Another fun thing that I've done, I've attended a few workshops that I really enjoyed. Well, I've attended lots of different workshops, but I really like Kirk Duncan, 3 Key Elements. You can look him up online. I have all of his CDs, and they're really good. If you feel like there are a few different CDs that he has that I feel like are really, really good. One is Building a Mind of Steel. So if you're feeling like you're having some negative thoughts, which we all do. I think he said in there, we have over 10,000 thoughts a day. The average person has over 10,000 thoughts a day, and the majority are negative. Scary. We're just not even aware of it. It's just happening so fast. And he does this exercise that's amazing where you take a piece of paper, you fold it in half. One side, you just brain dump all the negative stuff, like, I'm fat, I'm not good enough, I'm a lousy cook, whatever it is, right? You just brain dump all of those things. And then on the other side, you do the positive, like, I have a beautiful body, and then something, like at least 1 or 2 things to like offset that, to make it even stronger. Yeah, like, I have a beautiful body and it's getting stronger every day, or something like that. Okay. So anyway, it's really powerful, because when you put that on paper, you're like, oh my gosh, all that is running around in my head. So that's what I mean by taking out the trash. It's so important to do that. And I've actually helped my kids. Like, whether or not we realize it, if we're like that, and even if we're not saying things, the people that are in our lives pick up on it too. And that is really scary. My son, this is like, oh man, it must have been like 5 years ago, he said something to me, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but like something really dark. And I was like, that is not like him. He's my little positive boy, my little ray of sunshine. And it was like, just really like negative. And I felt so bad. I was, you know what? That is not true. You know where that comes from? That's not your thought. You don't have to believe that thought. Let's get it down on paper. And so I did this exercise for him, and he felt so much better. We literally like wrote down what he was thinking and then flipped it around and made it even stronger. And it's so powerful. So if you're stuck with that's a really good thing. Another one I really like of his is, it's called Anchors Away. And what it is, it's an exercise. Maybe you guys have even just done this without even, I've done it before I heard of Kirk Duncan, is you have a conversation with somebody that's not there, an unfinished conversation. So it doesn't matter if they're still alive or not alive. That part doesn't even matter. If there's somebody in your life where you cannot have a face-to-face conversation yet or ever, this is so cathartic. It's so healing. I've had that happen where I've just been stuck in a relationship and I'm like, I don't know how to get past this. I don't like them. I really don't like them. I have very unkind thoughts towards them. How can I heal? And yes, exactly. Use your oil. Exactly. Use your oils while you're doing it, or forgive, but yeah. And you get it. It's this exercise where you're getting it all out, and you're getting out in a safe way, so that you're not being toxic to the person who's being toxic to you, and then you can move on and release, and sometimes it's more than one conversation, but it really, really, really helps. And I think it's a really good one. He has other stuff too, like vision boarding and a lot of other stuff, but those are the two that I think are really most important for emotional and psychological health. I just think they're really, really, really powerful. Anyways. What's her name again? I was talking about Kirk Duncan. Oh, you got it. Okay, good. Sten Hansen. Was that what you were asking about, Jen? Okay, awesome. Okay, good. All right, we'll do, yeah.
That's a question.
Yeah.
So at the very beginning, you talked about lifelong vitality.
Yes.
What is that? What does it do?
Yes. Okay. So thank you. Lifelong Vitality is dōTERRA's line of supplements. And though they are the #1 selling essential oils company in the world, it's actually their #1 selling product. Their supplements are their #1 selling product. And for good reason. I'll just tell you a little bit about them real quick. 3 parts: vitamins and minerals, alpha CRS, and your Z omega. The vitamins and minerals are all the vitamins and minerals that you need in a given day. Really high absorption rates because of sourcing, and just like essential oils, there's quality in oils. Same thing with your vitamins. If your vitamins are synthetic, they're going to be flushed down the toilet. Your body's not going to absorb them. So these are really great vitamins and minerals. Your alpha CRS are whole foods and herbs. They really help to address and target discomfort. I don't have to worry about being compliant. I think I've been uncompliant tonight, but yeah, but discomfort. If you're feeling some long-term discomfort, this is going to be a huge game changer for you. And then your omegas, your fatty acids, and they're also infused with a lot of those oils that are really great for brain support and everything else, immune support. So you've got frankincense and clove in there, which is the highest antioxidant in nature. Things like that. So does that kind of help a little bit? I mean, I could do a whole entire class on it. Actually, Dr. Perkins did. So we can give you the link to her class if you want to watch the in-depth version. Yeah, I'm no Dr. Perkins. but I love Lifelong Vitality. It's incredible. And one cool thing about it is that dōTERRA has a 30-day money-back guarantee. Like if you don't like them for any reason, they'll give you your money back. So that's really great. And actually that goes up to 120 days. You can actually get credit. So yeah, risk-free, totally worth trying. It's a game changer. Yeah. Any other questions, you guys? Comments? No? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
thank
good.
you. Yeah. Thanks for coming, and thanks for joining me on the web. You are so welcome. And if you have any friends that you want to see this, I'm going to post this on our Facebook groups. So I'll I'll put it up on YouTube and then you'll have the link. It won't be a searchable link, so you'll need to actually have the physical link. But anyway, thanks for joining me, you guys. Okay, bye.